This is Jamaica Magazine and I'm Adrian Atkinson. Between the pages, we journey across the tourism corridors to examine how the industry's leaders are implementing safety protocols to protect visitors and workers. Thanks for joining us. We have that and more. Stay with us.
The Lupus Foundation of Jamaica is asking for your support this Christmas season in raising $500,000 through its Give a Care Gift campaign. The proceeds will provide gift or care packages to lupus warriors this holiday and further the impact of the foundation. Help the LFJ reach its goal. Be one of 555 persons to give 555 Jamaican dollars or $5 US. Make your tax-deductible contribution online via their website www.lupusfoundationjamaica.org or donate using the banking information provided. You can also visit the Lupus Foundation Learning Center at 7 Barbados Avenue, New Kingston. The Lupus Foundation of Jamaica is a member-based charitable organization run by volunteers dedicated to improving the outcomes and the lives of persons affected by lupus through information, support, advocacy, and research.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, December 29. The Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, has ordered the immediate closure of Lime and Maiden Keys. The order came into effect last evening and will remain in force until January 15. It follows reports of breaches to the COVID-19 protocols with the holding of yacht parties over the Christmas weekend. ODPEM says the decision was made after consultation with the local government and national security ministries, as well as the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation. It says both keys will be closely monitored by the Jamaica Defense Force Coast Guard and the Jamaica Constabulary Force Marine Police. ODPEM says the security forces will vigorously enforce the laws under the Disaster Risk Management Enforcement Orders. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says government is committed to making the justice system robust, efficient, and more capable of serving the interest of all Jamaicans.
We are seeking to improve and strengthen the rule of law and pursue timely justice outcomes. We are also updating a number of our laws to make them more relevant to today's realities.
The Prime Minister was delivering the keynote address at the Jamaica Information Services 2020 Heritage Competition Awards ceremony recently. He said the competition's theme, justice, brotherhood, and peace, represented an opportunity for the youth to provide honest commentary and direction on the issue of justice in Jamaica.
If you don't tell what you know, then justice might be delayed or even denied. Like this woman that is depicted, we all must be ready to give the information that is required to allow justice to prevail. For the government, justice is more than fixing the courts and the penal system. Justice is doing right by our people. And the government will continue to do right by our children. We will make the policy choices that will enable them to have a better quality of life.
The Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, has praised the government for introducing measures to improve public investment management within ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, and also public expenditure efficiency. The IDB has cited the establishment of the Public Investment Management Secretariat, PIMS, as an important step in the continued improvement of MDA's capability to manage public investments. It says this will aid the country's economic recovery efforts and accelerate long-term growth. Additionally, the bank says strengthening of the Secretariat, which is based in the Ministry of Finance, will be essential in furthering the growth process. The IDB says another key area of improvement is the creation of the Public Investment Map, which will enhance efficiency by tracking the use of resources through georeferencing. According to the bank, public investment efficiency will be particularly relevant in the post-COVID-19 pandemic period, as this can have a potentially significant multiplier effect on the economy. Meanwhile, government has partnered with the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, to continue supporting farmers through the buyback program. The initiative aims to purchase excess produce from farmers and assist those who are unable to sell their produce due to the downturn in hotel operations caused by the pandemic. The assistance program also aims to redistribute the excess produce from farmers. Agriculture Minister Floyd Green announced recently that $35 million was received from the FAO to carry out the program. He said focus would be placed on farmers in eastern parishes as they were not as hard hit by the recent heavy rains. Through the buyback initiative, the ministry has partnered with several organizations to redistribute the supply. The ministry also arranged mobile farmers markets to sell the excess produce and coordinated the distribution of produce to quarantined communities for farmers who donated their excess supply. And finally, more than 5,000 calls have been received at the Rona helpline that was implemented to connect with the vulnerable amidst COVID-19. The Rona helpline senior care response was initiated at the onset of the virus. It is designed to provide non-financial support to persons over the age of 70 who are in need of critical assistance to fill prescriptions and buy groceries, among other things. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie says the program has benefited persons from various parts of the country.
Some of the calls were just for information. Persons wanted to go to the grocery. Persons want to get medication filled.
Mr. McKenzie made the statements at a recent function for the handover of devices to golden-aged homes and infirmaries. The Rona helpline is managed by the parish offices of the Social Development Commission. The Commission's staff and support teams complete requests on behalf of the needy. That's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
My job is to ensure that every man, woman and child maintain good health at all times.
Our primary function is to ensure that government services are delivered effectively and efficiently.
We are building forward
together.
As New Year's Eve approaches, a popular period for events, here's a reminder that there is a ban on parties. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie lays out the protocols. Take a look.
The House is aware that the Disaster Risk Management Order number 16 is now in effect and will remain in force until January 15th, 2021. I wish to highlight the fact that the order preserves the ban on nightclubs, on parties, and all kinds of other events that warrants a permit from the municipal corporation. We have observed there are certain breaches of these provisions in various parts of the country, and those who are committing these offenses, Madam Speaker, covers every spectrum of the society. In keeping with the order, the municipal corporations have not issued any permits for any events of any sort taking place in Jamaica over the last 4 months. But despite the issuing of no permits, more than 300 events are being held on a weekly basis across the country in total violation of the health and safety protocols that have been laid down by the Ministry of Health. There are bike shows, wakes, grave digging ceremonies, church service where the numbers have exceeded the requirement, round robin, street parties, bike shows, you name it, in every nook and cranny of the country. We are seeing a worrying decline in the level of compliance by operators of community bars and taverns, Madam Speaker, which once months ago was demonstrating a real commitment in maintaining the protocols. We are now observing that a lot of these community bars and taverns is guilty of breaking the protocol. We are aware of nightclubs, especially in the corporate area, Otrios, Montego Bay, Negril, and other major centers are operating in defiance of the protocols. These venues, registered as restaurants, they are now in fact operating as nightclubs. And in addition, nightclubs being run under the disguise of restaurants. These are a few of the events that are being promoted. Shut your mouth with your little bit of money. That is the name of it, Madam Speaker. Here's the flyer. On this flyer, the promoters have printed that this event is fully endorsed by the KSAC. I want to repeat what I said, Madam Speaker, that the municipal corporations across the country have not granted any permits for any event at all. Additionally, 17 beaches and 19 rivers that were ordered closed in August will remain closed.
Are you a small to medium-sized tourism enterprise? Borrow up to $25 million at an interest rate of 5%. You can use the funding to develop and maintain your infrastructure, upgrade or increase your capacity, enhance and expand your attraction, tour or event, and purchase raw material. Call the Exim Bank and ask about the Tourism SMTE loan. Their numbers are 876-630-1400 or 876-618-5889. Tap into the over $3 billion earned yearly through tourism with a SMTE loan.
The winter tourist season has commenced and approximately 400,000 visitors are projected for the period. To ensure protection of tourism workers and guests, the government has implemented a number of measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in the industry. Next, details of one of those initiatives.
The first line of protection we have put in place is a resilience corridor for tourism travel. Tourist movement in this area will be controlled and they will not be allowed to leave the corridor.
What Destination Jamaica has done with the resilience corridor, which I think was a master stroke from the Ministry of Tourism in setting that up and getting the TPDCO certifying the hotels and establishments to reopen, has done well, because what they're doing is making sure that the protocols are all in place and ready to go.
If you look in the Caribbean, not many countries took the bold move to put in place a resilient corridor. Resilient corridor is important because if you notice throughout the Caribbean and the world, countries have either gone full open or major lockdown. Jamaica, because of the size of our country, it will be very, very tough to go with a full lockdown. And because we are concerned about everybody's health, it will be very tough to go with opening everything up. So the resilient corridor was put in place, I say with a lot of joy, to enable an in-between ground so that our industry can have a chance to not prosper, but to survive.
corridor essentially moves from Negril along the main road areas, east, northeast, along that highway all the way to Port Antonio, so that all the properties on the windward side, or the beach side, so to speak, would be embraced in that corridor.
What we have seen to date is that it has worked reasonably well. It has worked well. We have really focused on making sure the compliance is in place.
To guide businesses that are reopening, we have designed detailed operating protocols for each segment of the industry, and it's contained in this document. From training to supplies to procedures, everything is covered in this document. Businesses within the corridor will go through extensive training and will not be allowed to open until they have been assessed by TPDCO. If the assessment is successful by the TPDCO, they will receive a certificate, and they will receive that certificate, which must be displayed properly in their establishment to indicate that their business is TPDCO protocol compliant.
We work closely with the TPDCO to monitor and ensure that the required surveillance is taking place throughout. It's not that guests are right now allowed to openly go anywhere in the corridor. It was supposed to be a phased reopening. It started first with just hotels. So people coming into the island had to stay within the hotel. Then it was expanded to include COVID resilient certified transport, going to COVID resilient certified attractions. And again, you're following the same chain. It's 27,000 at the last count of tourism employees that are now trained, COVID resilient trained. They are trained in the protocols, they're trained in the specific adoption of the protocols for whatever area they work in. There's also 70 officers that are on the front line from TPDCO that are dealing with the inspection, training, and enforcement, as well as over 120 DC officers that were traditionally from the tourism force, courtesy corps. So there is a full range of oversight taking place, and so it's really a joined up approach. It's a private sector, public sector approach to ensuring the compliance. There is a continual effort to monitor the improvements in the science and to improve what the protocols are, as well as to look at if there are any scientific improvements that can help with testing, or the improvement of the testing and the cost of testing, etc.
The World Travel and Tourism Council, a global leader in the tourism industry, has reviewed and endorsed our protocol with their stamp of approval. It is important to recognize that the support will not stop once the assessment is complete. The workers will receive ongoing training and the comfort of knowing the businesses that they are involved in, while we monitor and ensure that there is ongoing compliance on the part of all.
Up next, government's plans to help the country's fisherfolk rebuild.
A global pandemic, bad weather, increase in the cost of resources, and a drop in the sale of fish. Just some of the challenges facing the local fisheries sector.
To improve productivity in the sector some level of recapitalization will be necessary for both fishers and fish farmers.
And so, $120 million has been pumped into the industry. With an estimated $23.1 million loss during 2020, the fisheries sector has been on the ropes.
The contraction has had the contingent effect of depressing production operations.
That's why the government has moved to stave off further damage to the sector. Increasing the mobility of sector players is a first step. In addition to giving fishers an exemption under the prevailing COVID-19 enforcement measures, the newly formed National Fisheries Authority (NFA) has begun processing identification cards for fishers. At an estimated cost of $300,000, the ID cards will be issued free of cost. Fisherfolk in St. Catherine and St. Mary who were affected by COVID-19 restrictions in April and May are also targeted.
260 fishers from St. Catherine and St. Mary will receive grants in the form of vouchers totaling $8 million.
$67 million in grant vouchers will be disbursed to 4,740 licensed fishers across 137 fishing communities.
Each fisher will be provided with a voucher valued at $15,000 to be used to purchase fish mesh wire or equivalent fish gear.
$30 of $67 million will be distributed by members of parliament, while the rest will be issued by the National Fisheries Authority.
Fish farmers in aquaculture production areas who had challenges procuring feed and fish fingerlings will receive grants in the form of vouchers totaling $20 million.
72 registered fish farmers will benefit from this disbursement, and 20 registered ornamental fish producers will receive $1 million in support.
We have put in place systems, Madam Speaker, to ensure that no one individual can benefit more than once from any of the methodologies that we're using. We want to ensure, Madam Speaker, that we stretch it as far as possible to impact the greatest number of our fisherfolk.
And while a strategy is being developed for industrial fishers, the ministry has been pursuing a $20.5 million project to place cold storage containers at strategic fishing beaches. A partnership has also been struck with the World Bank, which has resulted in the provision of an enforcement vessel, a 15-seater, a sport utility vehicle, and a Super Duty pickup truck to bolster outreach, support services, and enforcement. The sustainable development of the fisheries sector is on in earnest. The ministry, working with its technical teams and in consultation with fisherfolk across the island, is steadfast in its commitment to the sector.
These benefits, Madam Speaker, and my colleague members of Parliament will flow to those who are registered and licensed. So I use the opportunity to say to my fisherfolk right across the length and breadth of Jamaica, take the opportunity to get registered, to get licensed. Once the government knows you are a part of the system, then we are here to support you.
An important message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. What to do if you think you have been exposed or are experiencing signs and symptoms of COVID-19. Immediately call 888-1-LOVE. That's 888-663-5683. In addition, you should stay at home. Don't go to work, school, or any public place. Do not use public transport, and avoid visitors to your home. You may need to do this for up to 14 days to reduce the spread of the infection. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
I say be careful what you teach your little children. Make sure I know something to hurt them. Mind what you saying to my sister. She could be the next Prime Minister.
Sexual abuse is always a very difficult thing to confront, particularly when the alleged victim is a child. Parents, if it is that you suspect that your child has been sexually abused or is in a vulnerable set of circumstances where an abuse may occur, we encourage you to have dialogue with your child. Take the child to the pediatrician who normally attends to the child. If there is no such pediatrician, take your child to the clinic, to the hospital, to some medical practitioner who can do an assessment for you. It's very important as well that we don't just look at the physical side, but we also seek to find the kind of psychosocial support that a child may need. Does the child need a session with a counselor? Does the child need to speak with a pastor who is used to dealing with these issues? Does the child need to get that ongoing psychological support to assist with the healing process and also to assist the child in becoming strong enough, as it were, to deal with the various processes that will follow once it is that you suspect an abuse has occurred? If it is that the child actually discloses when you engage the child in discussion that, yes, mommy and daddy, I was abused, we encourage you to entertain the child, to listen to what the child has to say to you, and to take it very seriously. So we really urge you to have those discussions and to seek guidance in terms of, do I speak to the police about this, which we always say you have to, because once a child has been sexually abused, it's a criminal matter, and it means that once at all possible, the child should be assisted to go through the processes so that the perpetrator can in fact be held accountable. Support your child and let them understand in very clear terms that they are not the cause or the reason for this abuse having been perpetrated. But the most important element is to support them, get them access to the services that they need, and give them a chance to have you give them that listening ear. For these tips and of course any other information that deals with children, that is anyone under 18 years, please feel free to contact the Office of the Children's Advocate. We're at 72 Harbour Street, downtown Kingston, and our numbers are 948-1134, or website www.oca.gov.jm. Thank you.
Watch what you teach your little children. Make sure I know something to hurt them. Mind what you say to me sister, cause she could be the next Prime Minister.
You've reached the final page of the magazine. Thanks so much for being with us on today's journey. Another Jamaica Magazine unfolds tomorrow, so come back, same time on the same station. Until then, click on our social media pages for more informative features. While there, please subscribe to our pages and click that notification bell so you can stay in the know. I'm Adrian Atkinson, encouraging you to stay safe.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.